The following programming is EI, educational and informative.
Today on Mystery Hunters. When dinosaurs roamed the earth,
sea monsters ruled the ocean.
we're looking for two sea monsters who could still be alive today.
I'm diving deep into the lair of the Lusca. A weird creature that's supposed to be half octopus, half shark. Could that be what's attacking people in the blue holes of the Bahamas? I have to get past some other sea monsters to find out.
And I'm going fishing for a lake monster in Alaska.
Down there. That's right where I saw it.
People who've seen it up close say it looks prehistoric.
And Doubting Dave shows you how a modern sea monster confuses his enemies with something you use every day.
This is Mystery Hunters.
We'll be right back with more Mystery Hunters. We now return to Mystery Hunters.
There it is, the island of Andros. On this island is a bunch of watery caves that go deep underground. They're called blue holes. Some people say that a water monster lives in these blue holes, and a few people claim to have seen it. Like Val Exton. She says that when she was a kid, she came face to face with the water monster. Can you tell me what happened?
We were diving.
She was swimming in a blue hole one day with her brothers. She decided to dive down, deep into the water.
I went very deeply.
Suddenly, she thought she saw something swimming after her. At first, she thought it might just be one of her brothers. But when it got close, she saw that it was a weird creature. She never forgot that moment, even years later.
I told my son, Glenn, and he said, Mommy, just say exactly what you saw. And he made a sketch out, and it's right there.
Wow.
The Lusca.
What did you do when you saw it?
I began to run, and I head for home. And you would never, ever get me go back there again.
What could be so terrifying that Val won't ever go back to that blue hole? Could it be a Lusca? That's a half shark, half octopus creature that some local people say lives in those blue holes. That's it.
That's it.
The place where Val saw the Lusca. All right. Who wants to dive in and look for the Lusca with me? I guess I'm on my own like Val Exton was.
I'm in Alaska to investigate some strange goings-on in this lake.
Down there. That's right where I saw it.
Tim Laporte was flying over this lake when he saw a strange creature on the surface of the water. A creature that looked really big. So, Tim, tell me what you saw.
Well, I was taking a group of guys out fishing, and we were flying right over this bay. We saw something laying right at the surface of the water.
He told me that the huge creature he saw swam on the surface for a while, then dove underwater.
And we saw its massive tail just going side to side, right straight down out of sight.
How big was it?
As big as this boat.
Wow. Is it possible you were just seeing a whale or a seal?
No, because a seal just doesn't swim that way.
But where would a huge sea monster like that come from? Lydia Olympic lives on Lake Iliamna. She was out on the lake, not far from here, when she saw a huge creature in the water. Was it a prehistoric sea monster? Did you get a good look at the creature?
Not exactly. It was long and dark. When you only saw the top part of it, it was bumpy like a dinosaur.
Were you scared?
We're scared for our lives. A lot of people have lost their lives out here and have never been found. But there's a monster out there.
Lydia thinks so, and so do others. One person almost caught the monster. Something happened to Glenn Aldsworth's father that made him think the monster must be very powerful.
I can't even budge it.
Yeah, you'll never move. That thing's too strong.
And you're telling me that something in this lake was able to drag out a stump this size?
Yes, my father had attached an aircraft cable to a stump like this to his fishing line. And the next day when he returned to check and see if he had any fish, something had dragged the stump and all into the lake and it was gone.
That's incredible. Okay, let's find out how strong that monster is. I really want to see if we can move this stump or not.
We're gonna need some help.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. And we're on land. Imagine how much harder it would be for something in the water to drag this into the lake. If there is a prehistoric monster in this lake, I guess we'll have to go to where it lives to try to catch it. This is George Ly's place to catch the lake monster. But will we be the hunters or the hunted? How did your friend try to capture the creature?
He used a cable with big hooks, and he baited it with moose meat and salmon. The next day when he returned, this thing was broke straight in two. I don't know of anything in Lake Iliamna that is strong enough to break a cable like this.
If one of these guys is still around, it would be pretty strong. And that's why we brought this. I'm gonna set up my own bait with some moose meat, salmon, and a cable that's twice as strong as the one George's friend used. And if we don't catch him with this, we'll catch him with this underwater camera. This time, it won't get away. The camera will let us see if any sea monsters come around to take the bait. I'll be back in a couple days to see what we've caught.
If there are prehistoric creatures hiding in lakes, how do they keep hiding after they die? That's what 14-year-old Megan Monahan of Ontario, Canada wants to know. Take a look. On the Mystery Illustrator. Dear Doubting Dave, I've heard stories about lots of different sea monsters around the world. But if these kinds of creatures really exist, what happens to their bodies when they die? Shouldn't someone have found a sea monster skeleton or body by now? Well, Megan, believe it or not, people do find sea monster bodies. Ooh. Ah. Oh, mama. Prehistoric-looking bodies like these wash up on shore every now and then. And people often think they're sea monster remains. But even though they look prehistoric, once they're examined by experts, they always turn out to be sea creatures we know. These two so-called sea monsters are actually just a shark and a whale. Of course, big sea creatures like sharks and whales aren't usually found after they die. Normally, they just sink to the bottom of the ocean and get eaten by other sea creatures. That means if there are prehistoric sea monsters still out there, they'd probably get eaten when they die too. So, Megan, just because we haven't found sea monster bodies doesn't mean they aren't out there. But the only way to prove prehistoric sea creatures are still around is to catch one that's alive. Oh, this is not over. Now it's over.
We'll be right back with more Mystery Hunters. We now return to Mystery Hunters.
Witnesses say they've seen a prehistoric sea monster in this lake. I'm here to track it down.
Christina, I just heard about a possible sea monster sighting in Florida. It's big, like the creature you're looking for. It has bumps on its back, and it jumps out of the water. Sound familiar?
Very. I'm on my way. Goodbye, Alaska. Hello, Florida. Hi, Brian.
Hi.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Can you tell me your story?
Sure. I went up the river, went past the springs up there. All of a sudden, I saw something bust out of the water right in front of me. I mean, it was huge.
He says the thing jumped right out of the water and knocked him over.
Got a T-shirt right here I was wearing that day.
Oh, great.
Check this out. I think the mouth and everything hit me in the chest right here.
What kind of sea creature could have done this?
I'd like to know what happened myself.
If anyone knows what's in the lakes around here, it's these guys. Hi there.
Hi.
I got this from Brian Clemens. He said something jumped out of the water and hit him right there. Do you know what could have done this?
I think I do.
Nice net. Looks like we're about to catch something big. Oh my gosh!
Come on!
What is it? Is this the creature that attacked Brian?
I'm diving deep into this underwater cave to see if I can find the Lusca, a weird half octopus, half shark creature. This is where Val said she saw the Lusca. Whatever she saw, she said it scared her so badly, she never went back.
The water's nice. Get you to come in. You guys don't know what you're missing. Sorry, guys. Just joking.
If Val really did see a Lusca, where could it be? Okay, all these blue holes are connected underground. And not only that, passageways go right out to the ocean. Maybe the creature gets into the blue hole that way.
I guess if I want to find a Lusca, I'm gonna have to travel like a Lusca.
Jesse's a professional diver. He's gonna be my guide.
All right.
We're gonna dive in the ocean, go through one of those passageways, and try to find our way back into one of those blue holes. If the creature can do it, so can we.
Who knows? We might even meet one along the way.
There's the entrance. Okay, let's do this. It's too tight. We can't get through. If we can't get through, then how can a Lusca? Unless it can squeeze through one of these narrow cracks. But what kind of sea creature can do that?
Deep in the tropical forest of the Bahamas, Doubting Dave observes the Lusca in its natural habitat. Little is known about this strange and beautiful creature, so Doubting Dave will try to get near it to learn more. But first, he must prepare a special weapon to use against the sea monster if it decides to attack. In the ocean, the octopus uses this same weapon to ward off its enemies. Here on land, it could save Doubting Dave's life from the unpredictable Lusca. To make it, he uses steel wool, vinegar, kerosene, tea, plain hot water, a jar, and a pan. The smallest noise could scare off the Lusca, so Doubting Dave must move quickly. First, he cleans the steel wool with kerosene and lets it dry. Next, he puts the steel wool in his jar and drowns it in vinegar. Then he puts the jar in a pan of hot water and lets it sit so the steel and vinegar mix. Meanwhile, something has caught the Lusca's attention. But it's this little fella's lucky day. The Lusca isn't hungry. Yet. Close by, Doubting Dave pours his steel wool and vinegar solution into a bowl. Then adds the same amount of tea, completing his anti-sea monster weapon. What is it? Ink. Like the kind in any pen. If Doubting Dave wanted, he could even write with it. But believe it or not, the octopus uses ink as a sea monster repellent. He makes it inside his body and shoots it out when attacked. The ink floats through the water in an octopus-shaped cloud, which confuses his enemy and gives the octopus time to escape. Armed with his ink, Doubting Dave approaches the Lusca, and the Lusca immediately poises to attack, forcing Doubting Dave to defend himself with his ink. The Lusca eyes the ink suspiciously, then makes his move. Once again, simple ink has saved another life. Could the Lusca be kinder and gentler than the stories tell? The mystery continues.
We'll be right back with more Mystery Hunters. We now return to Mystery Hunters.
I was up in Alaska, setting up a little trap for an unsuspecting sea monster. Here you go. Come and get it. When I got a hot tip from Doubting Dave.
I just heard about a possible sea monster sighting in Florida.
Now, Frank Peruga says he can help me find the creature that I'm looking for.
Whoa! Come on. Okay, we're gonna go on
Okay,
three.
one, two, three.
Whoa! Watch it now. He's gonna find a little hole for you. Just pull it out.
Oh, lift it out?
Yeah.
Just here?
Yeah. You ready? Let's go.
It's super slimy. That's great. What is it?
Chris, you're looking at a Gulf sturgeon. This is a living dinosaur right here.
No way.
Yes, 200 million years old.
This particular fish isn't that old, but this kind of fish is. Fish just like this were swimming around during the age of the dinosaurs.
5 feet and 3 inches.
Hey, he's as tall as me. So, do you think this is what hit Brian Clemens?
It could very well be. These fish do jump in the air.
It actually looks like a dinosaur, just like what Lydia said.
When we only saw the top part of it, it was bumpy like a dinosaur.
But this fish isn't as big as what Lydia saw. What's the biggest sturgeon ever caught?
Well, Chris, they get well over 20 feet long, which is longer than this boat, and they'll weigh over 2,000 pounds.
That's huge. But how far north do sturgeon live? Do they live up in Alaska?
We have some old reports of sturgeon going as far as Cook Inlet, right here.
Hey, that's really close to Lake Iliamna. Could they travel up there?
It's possible if there's a way to get in there, they can.
But Frank, nobody's ever caught one.
Well, sturgeon are very secretive. They live on the bottom, and they're very difficult to catch, too.
Well, I got one here in Florida. Maybe I'll be the first to catch one in Lake Iliamna. Time to check the trap. Did it snag the water monster? My bait didn't catch anything. Maybe my camera caught something. Just water and some small fish. Doesn't look like I've caught anything on the camera either. It looks like the creature Tim and Lydia saw was probably a giant sturgeon, not a prehistoric sea monster. But I guess until someone actually catches a sturgeon here, we'll never know for sure what's hiding in Lake Iliamna.
I'm looking for a half shark, half octopus creature that witnesses say hangs out in these blue holes. These underwater passageways lead right out to the ocean. Does it come in from there, scare the heck out of people, and then go back out to sea? I couldn't get through. It's too narrow. But what kind of creature could squeeze through? Could it be this?
Oh, hi, Araya. I see you've met Sandy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So what kind of octopus was that?
Well, Sandy is actually a giant Pacific octopus, just like the one we have here. Yes. Her name is Stacy.
Wow. Well, is it possible for an octopus to slip through a small crack or hole?
Yes, it is. These guys are very flexible because they don't have any bones in their body, so they can slip through a hole as small as their eye.
Shell is right. This octopus is squeezing himself into a bottle to get a snack. Is it possible that an octopus could travel from the ocean to inland blue holes?
Yes, it is possible, but they won't survive because the inland blue holes are freshwater and these octopus live in salt water.
Well, Stacy, looks like you're not the Lusca that scared Val Exton that day in the blue hole. But the Lusca is supposed to be a half octopus, half shark. I wonder if sharks can survive in fresh water. I had a feeling I might have to get up close and personal with some sharks to solve this mystery. But I didn't think it was going to be this close. Get out of here. I need to find out if some kind of shark is behind those Lusca sightings. And live long enough to do something with the information.
What do you think?
That was crazy.
Okay, you ready for something awesome?
Yeah.
Let's go in and feed them. You'll see how wild they are.
Dr. Gruber feeds sharks so we can study them up close, where they live.
Got it.
See,
You got
picked it up right there. You got it.
It's a big, ugly one.
Do you think that any of these fish could survive in fresh water?
No, they're reef sharks. They couldn't live in fresh water.
But what if I told you that the creature I'm investigating is a half shark, half octopus? Do you think something like that could exist?
No, I don't think so either.
Dr. Gruber says that only two closely related animals can mate together to make up a new kind of animal.
In fact, the shark I study, the lemon shark, eats octopus.
But if a half shark, half octopus creature doesn't exist, then what did Val see in this blue hole?
You would never, ever let me go back there again.
The story I'm about to tell you is about Lusca. Lusca was half shark and half octopus.
You know, the Lusca is a legend on this island. People like to tell the story to kids to give them a little scare. That makes me think about something Dr. Gruber told me.
The lemon shark eats octopus.
And check out this video. Looks like sometimes an octopus can eat a shark too. I wonder if someone once saw an octopus attacking a shark and thought it was one creature. That could be how the myth of the Lusca started. Val must have known about the legend of the Lusca. Maybe she saw a shadow, some seaweed, anything, and just panicked and let her imagination take over. Val's convinced the Lusca exists. You have to catch a Lusca to convince me. Hey, Christina, did you get this email from Doubting Dave?
What email?
Well, it turns out that monster sightings have been reported in over 200 lakes around the world.
Wow. Does Doubting Dave think any of those are sturgeon?
Actually, he thinks that most of them are probably just rotting logs that float up from the bottom of the lakes.
I've heard of that before, and I find it so hard to believe that people could mistake a log for a living creature.
Me too. Until I decided to try an experiment. About a week ago, I switched our goldfish with a baby carrot.
But I've been feeding it every day.
Remember, things aren't always what they seem.